going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Ricondo come back at you with another video. So today we're gonna recap the off season and then do a quick preview of the training camp of the 2022 for these Atlanta Falcons. So guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like to hear what I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in here. We talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, like I said, it's been a long wait. These guys got through in late May with the mini camp. So we had to wait almost 5.5 weeks for these guys to get kicked off. And shout out to all the other content creators out there talking about the Atlanta Falcons. I know just like me, trying to come up with some some content to share with the fans and to keep everybody engaged. So when they do start training camp, which they're gonna do on Tuesday, everybody be ready to go and be locked in. So shout out to you guys, and we hold it down. It's here. Time is here. So we can go ahead and get ready for the season, get locked in, and start rooting on these guys for this 2022 season. So, like I said, we're gonna do a quick recap first, and just it's been a long off season for us. A lot of changes for this Atlanta Falcon team. I think it's good. Um, we got to get used to it. Like I said, it's a lot of changes, but we're gonna do a quick recap, and then we're gonna go into talk about the preview of the training camp going in. So let's start off right at the beginning of the off season, and everybody was talking about Kyron Ridley and what he's going to get traded. And I think they actually had a trade offer out there for Kevin Ridley. I think it was to the Philadelphia Eagles. What's going on, Wallace? What's going on, man? And and like I said, I think they had a actual trade out there for Kevin Ridley at the time, but we heard the breaking news that Calvin Ridley was going to be suspended for a year, and that was it. Right? We lost our number one receiver for the season, and we was what was going to happen to our receiving core? We already was struggling last season when Calvin Ridley, decided to sit out for a while, and now we to the point where we don't even have actually a number one receiver going into the season. So if you remember, everybody was mocking a wide receiver to the Falcons, right? At that number 8 overall pick because we lost Calvin Ridley. And I'm not ready to do my prediction yet, but if we go 10-7, I like that. So low, if you think we're going 10-7, I like that. Yeah, and thanks, Wally. Yes, it was to the Eagles. You're right. It was to the Eagles, and at the time we didn't have a receiver. Everybody was mocking a wide receiver to us, and it was going to be Garrett Wilson, right? Everybody had Garrett Wilson. Every time you look at him, it was Garrett Wilson coming to the Atlanta Falcons, and so that's what everybody thought. We was going to get a receiver. We did get a receiver, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But it wasn't Garrett Wilson. All right, the next thing, which is probably the most interesting thing that happened to this franchise in a while, was we actually went out to pursue Deshaun Watson. And this right here was a really big deal for us when we went out to pursue Deshaun Watson, because at the time we already knew what was going on with Deshaun Watson. Matter of fact, it still is out there in the atmosphere. What's going on with him? Just something we don't have to deal with anymore. But at the time, and I think it split the fan base a little bit because of everything was going on with Deshaun Watson. A lot of people did not like the idea that the Falcons was going to pursue a guy with all these allegations out there. His behavior off the field. He had already set out a whole season with the Houston Texans, but at the time, if you guys recall, I actually talked about what's going on. Jadante Roser, what's going on, man? How you doing? So at the time, for me, for Deshaun Watson, I looked at it just from a football standpoint, straight up football standpoint. I understood everybody's feelings and everybody and what everybody thought about it. But for me, getting a young man 26 years old with his talent. Hey, I just thought that it was I understood why they was doing it. Let's put it that way. I understood why they was going out to get Deshaun Watson. I understood why they was trying to pursue him. They would have had a franchise quarterback, moving on from Matty Ice, being 14 years, going right into a quarterback that could play for 10 years. At the time when Deshaun Watson, didn't sit out the year before, he was like the probably the fourth best quarterback in the league at the time. So I understood, right? Even though it was going to be a PR nightmare with Deshaun Watson and all his allegations out there. So I understood why do it. And I actually believe that they was going to get him. I think it came down to the Falcons and the Saints, but at the time, I think the Falcons had the leg up on it. So, but we all know what happened. Cleveland decided to go pay this man $230 million guaranteed, and that was history. And I really believe it was a blessing in disguise for this team. Personally, um, I think things happen for a reason. Deshaun Watson come back home playing for the team that he was the ball guy for during his what he's because he's from Georgia. So I thought it was a good story at the beginning, but at the end of the day, I think it worked out perfect for the Atlanta Falcons because we did not need that nightmare that's what's going on with the Cleveland franchise. And so and then if you think about it, we would have had to give up so much draft capital, and we would have had a quarterback, but we don't know what state will be in. He's going to get, especially this year. I think if we would have got Deshaun Watson, this year would have been a wash for us, 100%. We wouldn't have had no draft capital. He might not even play a whole season, so we're still waiting on that suspension news for him. So it would have been bad for us if we would have actually got Deshaun Watson. It's just my opinion. So good thing that Cleveland, the Cleveland Browns went ahead and jumped on the sword for us, and we don't have to worry about that. So um, that's what happened. So after the Deshaun Watson thing happened, we know Matt Ryan actually decided to request a trade. The Falcons obliged him to actually let him go where he wanted to go. He talked to the Colts. We gave up a third round pick. I mean, yes, they gave up a third round pick. That's all we got for our franchise quarterback Matt Ryan. Everybody was not excited about that, but I can understand. Just getting what you can, and they did Matt Ryan the right way. It was kind of messed up how they pretty much told him that, hey, we was moving on. We want to move on from you, and I really believe it was just because of the contract. I think by Matt Ryan restructuring his contract year in, year in, year out, it was just going to be hard for us to build a team around that kind of contract. And now the argument could be we could have moved the last year when the regime first came in that we should have went on and moved from Matt Ryan that time. But I like the fact that they tried to see what they could do with Matt Ryan, and we won 7 games with a roster that I don't think was that good. So I just like the fact that the way Matt Ryan came in professional. That's why I think they did what they did and let him go out with grace. Yeah, I don't understand why we just got a third round pick too. I think we could have got more for Matt Ryan. I really do, but I don't think the Falcons actually put up a fight for it. I just think they decided to just decided to just give him away. Pretty much, they gave him away for free. So yeah, we got screwed in that. Just getting a third round pick for Matt Ryan. I definitely believe that we could have got better. That I mean, think about Carson Wentz. They gave up all those picks for him. I think the Carolina Panther gave up more for Sam Darnold than we gave up for Matt Ryan. So I mean, just look at it in that way. Yes, we definitely got robbed for a third round pick for Matt Ryan, but at the end of the day, um, they did Matt Ryan a service, giving this organization 14 years. In my opinion, the best quarterback we had in the franchise. So what can you do, right? Good luck, Matty Ice. I'm definitely gonna be looking from afar. I still think he got a lot of talent left. A pretty good team with the Colts. I think those guys going to make some noise this year. So we're going to move into free agency. So we got rid of Matt Ryan. Calvin Ridley's gone. We're moving into free agency. free agency hits, and right off the bat we lose our quarterback of the defense, 4-year Olakun. And congratulations him for getting that money. We could not afford to pay him the contract that he got, so um, we lost our linebacker who led the leading tackles last year. So, like I said, good thing for Fourier Olakun. We still didn't have a lot of salary cap space, and keep in mind we got the biggest dead cap in NFL history, right? Even though that don't mean anything for us because those guys was on the book regardless, and they would have been on the book next year. So, going and take the pain this year and then move on to next year. That's what we did. So that cap hit, it is what it is, but we're gonna be good with it. So I'll tell you what I think of the roster in just a minute, James. So just hold on. So um we like I said, we went into the draft. We went into the draft and I mean free agency, not draft. We're not to the draft yet. Free agency. And we lost Fourier, but we brought back Cordell Patterson, right? CP, we brought him back. We brought Younghoe Koo back. We brought Isaiah Oliver back. Um, we released a couple guys. We released Tyler Davidson. We released Dante Fowler. We released Mike Davis. Even though Mike Davis was released after the draft, so just some guys that we released. Um, some new faces that we brought in. We brought in Marcus Mariota. Brought in Casey Hayward. We brought in Damian Williams. And then the fact that we had to actually revamp our whole um, receiver room because, like we said, Calvin Ridley was suspended for a year. We did bring back and tender Alumde Zaccheaus, so he was a holdover from last year in the receiver room. But we signed Auden Tate, Geronimo Allison, Cardero Hodge, Demir Bird, and then remember later on after the draft we got Brian Edwards and a trade from the Las Vegas Raiders. So, like I said, we revamped that whole receiver room, and only guys who's left was, like I said, alum days of kids, and we're not going to forget about second year player Frank Darby as well. So, so now, like I said, guys, that's the free agency. I think I didn't name all the guys. Of course, I didn't name Dean Marlowe, Tease Tabor, um, Vincent Taylor. We brought back Anthony Rush as well. So some more guys, the key guys that we did bring back. But you're looking at our roster, we brought back Edgar Harris as well, safety standpoint. So we kind of revamped this defense, which I think it's better this year. I think our offense's side is better this year than it was last year, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But that's what we did with free agency. So we brought in all these guys. Most of these guys are journeymen and 1-year contract, which give us that cap flexibility that we want, going into next year. Because if we can actually do something this year, and that's why I think this year is important. Everybody looking at this year as just a throwaway year. Well, in my opinion, if we actually do something this year and showing that culture that that this new regime, this coaching staff trying to build from a defensive standpoint and from an offensive standpoint with these guys that's on 1-year contracts, right? That's going to help us attract some of those free agents out there with all the cap space we're going to have next year. So that's why I think this is important this year, and we couldn't don't just punt this year and people think we're going to win 3 or 4 games. We got to take this season serious so we can actually be able to do something this year. So that's why I think this year is important. All right, so all that, then we move into the draft, right? Um, and like I said, we already knew that everybody had a actual receiver mock to the Atlanta Falcons, and most people had Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State mock to the Atlanta Falcons. I had to be honest with you guys. I thought defense. I think most of us thought defense, right? We did need a receiver. There was no denying that we need a receiver. But I thought most people, and I think most of you guys agree that pass rush probably was something that we all thought they was going to go for. I know some people had Big Davis in the middle because we needed somebody to put beside Grady Jarrett to be that guy. But I mean, hey, I personally I thought one of those pass rushers was going to drop. So, but you see how the draft failed. Most of those guys came off the board early, and I think the Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot stick to their philosophy is best player available. And to them, the number one receiver was on the board was Drake London, not Garrett Wilson. So, that's the route they decided to take. They decided to take um Drake London instead of Garrett Wilson. That's where they went. They decided to go directly to um to the offensive player of the year in the Pac-12 and get Drake London, who actually got that honor, only playing 8 games because he got injured. So um, his size, being able to play in slot and outside, catching all the 50-50 balls. Only question mark we actually have about Drake London, which really no big issue, is the speed factor. We really don't know, how fast he is. But if you go look at the tape, I didn't see an issue with that. And a lot of people saying that he had so many contested catches, but I think that had more to do with the quarterback who was throwing the ball because a lot of those balls looked like they was underthrown. He had to come back to him. But the fact that he was able to get most of those contested catches is what stands out. Big body receiver, goes up and get and it like he was able to get every ball that was it was 50-50 ball. It was his ball. That's what he played. I think he's going to utilize that basketball background that he has, and he's going to be a big factor for us. The biggest thing about Drake London, and I don't know if you guys watched my videos before, is that he is going to be the number one receiver. I don't know how much pressure that's going to put on him, but I mean, if you're just looking at the receiver room right now, Drake London is he's the number one right now. So that's going to be a big thing for him. All right, I'm gonna go look at some of the comments here before we keep go to the next draft pick. Wallace said the reason is that we had Matt on the roster bonus. That Tuesday the trade was done. Yeah. So yeah, we would have had to pay him, I think, $7 million if we would have kept him on the roster. So they was trying to actually to get that and they just had to go ahead and make it happen. So yeah, you're right. That's probably why we just only got a third round pick for him. I said, but if the Packers player is good enough, we will probably get resigned. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Some of those players, they on a 1 year deal. If you think about it, just what they did with Cardell Patterson, and that's what I like about it. I think Terry Fontenot talked about that. This is a place you come in, you got something to prove. You play like you're supposed to play, and then you can get rewarded with a longer contract. And you think about it, Cardell Patterson probably had his best season in his career with the Atlanta Falcons because the way they used him. And we all know sometimes that some players just don't get used to their best abilities and they get thrown away. I mean, all these guys are pros. They made it to NFL for some reason. They can play. Sometimes it just don't work out with a certain team. So and a lot of times they just get thrown away. So next, I thought we was going to draft Davis, but I understand. Yeah, I did too. I if you go back and look at some of my mocks, I had Davis drafted. I had Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. I had him mocked a couple of times, and then if any of those other pass rusher Hutchinson, those guys would have dropped, I would have mocked them too. Actually, one time I actually had the corner out of Cincinnati um actually mocked to us as well because I don't know why because we had already got Casey Haywood, but I just thought that um having a third corner, I think that defensive backfield would have been. We didn't need a corner, I know, but that defensive backfield would have been hot if we would have went and got a cornerback. So, but yeah, I had Davis mock a couple of times. Jordan Davis. I had Jermaine Johnson mock because I thought he was going to be the pass rushers is going to be actually there at number 8, and I might have picked a receiver in one of my mock drafts I did. I can't remember. I have to go back and look, but for the most part, it was a defensive player. And if you look how Jermaine Johnson dropped, maybe some of the scouts knew something we didn't know because he went like 27, 28. So picking him at 8 might not have been a good idea. Just looking how he fell down the draft board. So talking about Jermaine Johnson and then our second round pick, we went right in and we got some people actually had Umber Ebikadi mocked in the first round, and we moved up. We moved up about 4 spots, and we took Umber Ebikadi out of Penn State that first second round pick that we had, which is awesome. If you could look at his team, I think he might be one of the most polished pass rushers in this year's draft. Um, Coming over from Temple, he already has a lot of pass rush moves. If you look at the dip that he has, I think he has a move that set up one move to the next move. So I think Armor Ebikadi is definitely is going to be um, somebody we can actually look at, and I think he's going to be productive this year. I really do. I really believe that Armor Ebikadi is definitely going to be a productive player for this year. So um, I have no complaints about Armor Ebikadi. He already given himself a nickname, the Doctor Pass Rush. You have to when you do that. You have to live up to certain things, and I really believe that we got to start hitting on some of these second round picks that the Falcons actually draft. We see Algiere Oliver finally starting to come around. Took him a couple of years to actually do it, but Marlon Davidson, he's got to start. He's second round pick. Richard Grant from last year. I think he's gonna have a big jump from year 1 to year 2. But some of these second round picks got to start to actually um, pay dividends, right? These guys drafted in the second round, so um, most times second round, if you're not a starter, you're a fringe starter. So especially where we picked that, they got picked early in the second round. So some of these guys got to start to pan out. Like I said, Marlon Davis and Richard Grant, and I hope um, AK gonna do his thing. Yeah, I think he was a steal too. I really do. I really do think I think he could have been drafted in the first round, really. So and I already like the fact that he's out there practicing with Chuck Smith. Um, believe it or not, our second um, pass rusher, best pass rusher all time with the Falcons. And we don't have but 5, but that's bad for this team. But you know, but shout out to Chuck Smith. So after we went and got AK, and who I think is going to do some things, we went and got a lot of people was talking about this kid, but nobody know about him. Nobody didn't know a lot about him, but everybody was talking about him, his athletic ability, and I think what helped him out when he went down to the Senior Bowl, and this Troy Anderson, when he went down to the Senior Bowl, he stood out to a lot of scouts, and he definitely stood out to the Falcons because they actually when they took him out of Montana State, um, Troy Anderson, and this guy run a big. I mean, he's to have his size to be that big of a linebacker and to run that fast. Um, I think he's going to be able to do a lot for this team. He's still raw. We do know that. I mean, it's the reason because he played every position. While he was in school, he played quarterback, he played running back. I think that's going to be able to help him. He mentioned that with the spatial awareness, with playing defense, playing linebacker, he know where the quarterback's trying to go with the ball, where the running back is trying to find the holes and stuff. So I think that's going to help Armor Katie. I think the biggest thing for him is just learning the playbook, right? But I mean, this guy's going to be able to stick with running backs. He's going to be able to stick with tight ends because he got the size to fit with to stick with tight ends. He got the speed to stick with running backs, and he may be able to stick with some receivers as well in the slot. So um, this guy, I think he was a steal as well. Like I said, nobody knew about him. Nobody was actually talking about him because he did not come from a big name, Power Five school. But if you go look at his film, he looked like the best player when he was on the field when he was at Montana State. And if you're gonna go get a guy from a small school like that, that's not in one of those Power Five, they should look like that. And that's what Troy Anderson looked like when you go look at his film. So I think Troy Anderson is definitely is gonna shine for us this season. So we just have to stand by and look what he's gonna do. Will he start? I don't think he's gonna start. I think Michael Walker probably is gonna get that starting nod besides Rashawn Evans, especially now that Deion Jones is put on the PUP list. So start the camp. I think it's gonna be Michael Walker, Rashawn Evans, then Troy Anderson, but definitely Troy Anderson is going to get his opportunities. And like I said, once he learned the playbook, guys, his being able to run from side to side, because this the new NFL. You know, everybody remember the old NFL. You want that middle linebacker to come in and be a run stopper, which I don't. I think his size he can able to do that, but being able to run sideline to sideline, it's definitely it's, it's gonna be interesting to see. And I'm not saying this, but he remind me of Luke Kuechly a little bit. If he's able to actually to pick the play out and anticipate plays early, he could be that type of linebacker. So um I shout out to like you said, I shout out to our scouting team for finding Troy Anderson because um I think he's going to be a good player. And we don't have to expect anything from this year because we still got Dion, we still got Rashawn Evans out there and Michael Walker. So, but he's going to definitely get some run. So, I like that pick that we picked for. I like that. I like that pick. Yeah, and I agree. This could be our Luke Kuechly, man. I'm telling you, he just looked like if you and you go back and look at some of his Senior Bowl tape. I mean, he was reading and reacting right at the point. That's why they went and got this guy. And like I said, his speed is definitely going to be able to he can be a like I said, running backs, tight ends. He's going to be able to cover all those guys. So the next guy we went and got was D'Angelo Malone. Now from another small school. This is why, like we talk about our scouts, because these guys went out and got guys that nobody was actually um, looking at. But this another guy who was all pro in the division he was in. How many tackles he had for a loss? It was just ridiculous. He had double digit tackles for a loss. And his motor, um, just coming off the ball is what you see on film when you're looking at D'Angelo Malone. Right. And we knew for a fact that we had to develop pass rush, right? We talked about this. Everybody knows the numbers, 18 sacks in the NFL. And I think more than the sack is the pressures. We wasn't even the pressuring some of these quarterbacks. So uh, just being able to provide more pressure, it's going to help our defense because you everybody know when you start to put pressure on quarterbacks, that's when they start to make mistakes, right? So these guys that AK and then a guy like D'Angelo Malone is going to come in and they really is going to be able to actually um, do their thing. I mean, I can't wait to see what he does. Um, just his story itself came in, small guy, gained weight. Only school that actually recruited him to come in, and he's 250 pounds now, and he probably can put on a little bit more weight. But I just think his get off and what he showed in college, I think he's definitely going to be somebody that we really could we really could actually see him with so a lot of snaps. I think, and I know I talked about this, but if you think about they put a NASCAR package out there on pass rush downs, and you can put Okendeji, Army Ebiketie, and D'Angelo Malone out there, maybe even Lorenzo Carter, and then put Grady Jarrett out there. I don't know. I mean, we know they got to be passing in though. I mean, because that'd be real bad on a run, trying to stop the run. But with those guys' speed and athleticism, like I said, put Grady along with those pass rushers out there. I like it. It could be, We could see what happens. Like I said, this is the same blueprint the Peas had with the Ravens. Yep, guys from small schools. You just got to find them, right? I think Terry Fontenot talked about that. Um, you have to find guys because if they can play football, they out there. You got to find them. I think about Jesse Tuggle, coming from Valdosta State. Um, how many years he played? I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Um, I mean, but Jesse Tuggle, just think about players like that. Jesse, I mean, these guys, they out there. We just got to go find them. So once again, shout out to our scouting team for going out and find these guys. Somebody like a D'Angelo Malone. All right, then we get to our third round pick, and could be. Uh, we just have to see is Desmond Ritter. Um, I just like what I like about Desmond Ritter when he got the call and the way he was pissed off that he got drafted that late, right? It just goes to show you this guy's a winner, man. He only lost 6 games in college. Um, and he was not in a Power Five school, which means that he didn't have all the 5 stars and 4 star guys behind him. And that, of course, that was evident when he played teams like a Alabama, right? You can see that line. And people, if people really look at football, they know college football. The difference really between these division, these conferences, is the offense and defensive lines, right? Those skill positions, yes, these guys are good, but you can find skill positions all over. But offense and defensive lines are where the Power Fives actually had the most games, and you can tell. You can look at that Cincinnati game against Alabama, or you can go back year before when Cincinnati played Georgia, and you can see where Desmond Ritter just did not have the time to actually go through his progressions and make a play. Right, he was running for his life most of the time, and that's the same. And that's the situation he was in. So, but if you just look at his skill set, um, he's not. I don't think he's ready where he's going to be this year. I think Marcus Mariota is going to be the starting quarterback, but I think Desmond Ritter has the potential to actually be a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. So we just had to give him time to go. I really like his mindset. He comes in and he talks about how he want to learn the playbook. He actually got praise from Arthur Smith from being able to do that. So um, that's a good thing about Desmond Ritter already. All right, he's still a rookie. Ain't got pressure anybody would pass on yet. So we just have to see what he actually do in a real live situation. But at this point, what he's allowed to do, I think he's been batting 1,000. So that's a good thing. And yeah, I agree. I do agree that Okendaji and Carter probably is going to be our starting outside linebackers. But starter just mean that those guys that come out there first. I think Evan Katie and Malone is going to get enough snaps to be able to rush the passer. So even though Okendaji and Carter comes out and start, I think that doesn't mean that they're not going to actually you know be able to get any plays out there. You said you think we would take a step back? Oh yeah, right now I definitely agree that I agree. I just want people to realize when we talk about Marcus Mariota, and you have to put things in context. Marcus Mariota actually had he had a injury in his hand. People don't realize that. All right, they keep talking about he got benched and all this, but he actually had a nerve injury in his throwing hand. So you go back and look before that how he was playing, and then I just believe that um all those different coaches that he had, offensive coordinators and stuff, we never looks at the situation the guys in. We just look how they didn't pan out, right? We always look at the great quarterbacks, right? Go look at Tom Brady. How many different offensive coordinators he had? Go look at Drew Brees. How many different offensive coordinators did he have? Peyton Manning. How many different offensive coordinators did he have? Right? I mean, that's why when we look at Matt Ryan was up and down because when he get a new offensive coordinator, that first season it's not that good. But then once he get used to that coordinator, he plays better, right? But a lot of these greats, they allowed to actually stay in the system and learn the system. And they build a system around this guy. I mean, look at Lamar Jackson right now. Lamar Jackson actually was able to get a system built around him. Imagine if the Atlanta Falcons would have built the system around Mike Vick instead of trying to fit Vick into their system, and they would have built the system around Mike Vick like the Baltimore Ravens did around Lamar Jackson. That would have been crazy. Think about it. Think about it. They want Lamar Jackson to run, and it was taboo for quarterbacks to run when Michael Vick was when came in the league. Him and Randy Cunningham, those guys was like they want you to be a pocket passer. But with Lamar Jackson, they actually built the offense where they actually called plays for him to run the ball. So just think about that. So what I'm saying is Marcus Mariota, everybody's down on him because he got benched and he's not played for 2 years, but I still think he got a lot of talent. He's only 28 years old, so let's see what he can do. So I agree. We should take a step back for Desmond Ritter, even though it's a quarterback competition, and this guy could be. I mean, if Marcus Mariota panned out, Desmond Ritter could be a trade chip for us down the line. So just think about it like that. So, but I agree. We need to take a step back. Um, take a step back on Ritter right now. Let's see what he can do. And you're right. I still remember that game that he played against the Chargers. Man, he looked great. What I do like, what I really like about that game, his main target was Darren Waller, right? And I just think about him and Kyle Pitts, man. I think about War, I think about Darren Waller, and then I think about Marcus Mariota, connecting with Kyle Pitts. I mean, because this year Kyle Pitts is going to have more freedom, just because it's this revamped receiver room that we have. I think Kyle Pitts is going to have more freedom. You said, but we had a good system around Vic. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean he admitted he didn't study the playbook. Yeah, that when I heard that, man, I was so upset. I mean, Vic wanted to play sandlot football, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I think when Vic dropped back, he looked at his first read, maybe his second read, and then he was like, "Now I'm taking off." Right? That's what Michael Vick did. It was exciting and all that, but um, if he would have learned the playbook, you right, I think he actually would have been did a whole lot better. That's why, in my opinion, like I said, um, Matt Ryan is the best quarterback the Atlanta Falcons ever had. No, I loved Mike Vick. Let's keep it real. I'm not hating on Vic. Vic was the man, but Vic only had 2 winning seasons too. So yeah, out of 6 seasons. So let's be honest about that. Um, but I like Vic though. But if Vic would have learned the playbook, you're right. I think we would have won the chip. We did go to the NFC Championship game, and I think Vic was too cold in that game. We went to Philadelphia, man. I don't think he wanted to play in that NFC Championship game. It looked like he was just ready to go home. It was cold up there in Philly, so. Um, but I mean, Vic was excited, man. I think Vic. I can't say that he brought a lot of fans to Atlanta. The excitement to Atlanta when he came. Everybody. That's why everybody. That's why a lot of people today is Atlanta Falcon fans because of Mike Vick, right? But um, he's going in the Ring of Honor, so um, we got a lot of respect for Mike Vick. You said Clark, yeah, yeah. You remember what happened to Drew Bledsoe? You remember what happened to Drew Bledsoe when he got injured, and then Tom Brady came in and rest is history, right? David Carr might was feeling that same pressure. David Carr, he probably was feeling that same pressure. He was like, "Nah, man, Mariota looked too good. He's not gonna take my job." So, and at the time, right, that's when John Gruden had just got there, so he wasn't 100% sold on Derek Carr. So you're right. Um, he even, hey, if I'm nicked up a little bit, I'm coming back in the game. So, all right, all right. Let's talk about the next guy we picked. We'll talk about these three real quick, but we're going to talk about Tyler Algiere. Um, this guy, I actually had Tyler Algiere mocked to the Falcons in the draft. And one reason why I had seen a report where the running back coach actually worked him out after his pro day. So I kind of thought about it, and I went and looked at the film, and he was the perfect fit for Arthur Smith offense. The guy breaks tackles, um, former linebacker, came to the school to be running back, but they had too many running backs, so he moved over to linebacker, just wanting to get on the field. This guy is physical, man. He had the most broke tackles in college football last year, 1,600 yards, 23 touchdowns. Um, this guy is, I can't wait to see him play. And I know a lot of people think CP is a lock for that, for that number one running back spot. I think CP could play a little bit more receiver as well. So Tyler Algiere could get a lot of runs at running back. They tried to do that with Mike Davis. If you remember, Mike Davis was a starter even when CP was rolling. They still started Mike Davis, right? But Mike Davis just didn't live up to the hype, man. Let's just be real. I think everybody that comes in and they blast the Falcons and we get all excited because you remember the year before Mike Davis came in, he ran all over the Falcons in those two games against when we played the Carolina Panthers, right? Uh, but then he did still have that same when he came to play with us. He just did not live up to it. Fumbling the ball. Only thing I can say good about Mike Davis was that his pass protections was solid, man. When he was out there, he was blocking for Matty Ice. No, nobody was hitting Matt Ryan with Mike Davis out there. So hopefully any running back that we put in the backfield, they can block. Even though we got more mobile quarterbacks in the backfield, but that was one thing about Mike Davis. But back to Tyler Algiere, I think he's definitely is going to be a big key for us this year. This guy, um, like I said, if he can play on third downs, catch the ball out of the backfield, pass protect, he's going to get a lot of time in the backfield. Which that's why when I did my 53-man roster projection, I had Quadre Allison on the outside looking in, and I feel bad because of Quadre Allison. You know, not not being on his team, but bringing in Damian Williams, Super Bowl winner, CP, Tyler Algiere, and then the fact that they moved Avery Williams over to running back, I just feel like Quadri Allison is going to be the man on the outside looking. I don't see him keeping five running backs. I definitely see them keeping Avery Williams because of his return ability. And I mean, draft pick, if he's going to win that return job, he's going to be on the team. Even though he just moved over to running back, I just believe Avery Williams is going to make the team. So that's why I think Quadri Allison might be on the outside looking in, but um, those four running backs is going to be able to wreak havoc, man. And I think I agree. I think he's going to be a starter. And the reason I think he's going to be the starter because I think, like I said, Cordell Patterson is going to be able to. They can utilize him in so many different ways. Of course, he came in the league being a receiver in the first place. He was used, running the ball in Chicago and New England and things like that. So it's not foreign to him to actually be a running back. But this, he had his most productive year with us. Arthur Smith used him well. He was just him and Kyle Pitts was the offense last year, right? There's just no other way to look at it. Kyle Pitts, Cordell Patterson, Matt Ryan, Russell Gage started to come on towards the end. So Lombardi's kids had some good plays too. That's why they brought him back. But um, CP was just all world, and I think towards the end of the season he started to burn down. That's why we need somebody like a Tyler Algiere to take some of that pressure off him. Oh, so you think they're gonna add another big corner? Like who? Who you think they're gonna add? You think they're gonna actually bring him in from free agency, or I mean, because we got Isaiah Oliver, Darren Hall is not that big, so let's see what you got. You said just paving the way to improve our running game this year. I know, man. I know if we can run the ball, and no, and people keep, a lot of people say the running game is not that important. It's not just the running game; it's the balance between the running game and the passing game. I mean, if you can control the clock, right, and just think about it, if you can control the clock, that means being able to run the ball and pass the ball, not like like we was talking about with Jimmy Garoppolo when you pass the ball twice, or Ryan Tannehill when they don't even want you to pass for like 115 yards. I'm not talking about that shit screamed to me when you they don't want you to pass the ball at all because they don't trust you. I'm talking about being able to be balanced where the defense don't know what you're gonna do. That's what I'm talking about. Being able to run the ball effective. I mean, averaging 4 yards, at least 4 yards to carry, and being able to utilize that for the play actions where you can hit your big plays down the field. People don't realize most of Brian Edward plays, most of his receptions. Go back and look at Las Vegas Raiders with big play plays like 20 yards or more. So Brian Edwards is a big play guy. Kyle Pitts could be a big play guy. Of course, we know Lumberdays the kids. Most of his touchdowns are big play catches. So um, we could utilize that play action, that run game, and we can set up that. I mean, if you go back and look at the way Kyle Shanahan ran it, man, defenses didn't know what the Atlanta Falcons was gonna do when we was rolling that 2016 year. They had no idea because we could run the ball, we could pass the ball, we could do it all. And that's what Arthur Smith is trying to get back to. So we're not just talking about. We do not want to be the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans, they barely let Ryan Tannehill throw the ball because you see what he did in the playoffs. 3 interceptions. He actually lost the game, you know, for them that that playoff game. I mean, they could have just ran Derrick Henry. Maybe they would have won. But what's going on, Kenny Lewis? What's up, man? Oh, you said the corners that we got on our roster now? Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you go back, if you think about Avery Williams, I think the game that sealed it for him is that Dallas Cowboys game, man. He got blitzed in that game, and they had him at slot, and CD Lamb just, man, he made Avery Williams look bad in that game. So I agree. That's probably why they went on to move him. They thought he don't have a he's too little. He's not gonna make it on defense. So they trying to keep him on because he is athlete. I mean, somebody that had over 9 returns in college at Boise State. I mean, this guy is an athlete. So moving on to running back is probably the best thing for him. I don't think he's gonna do a whole lot at running back this year, but in return game, I think he's gonna be solid. So um, that's why I think he's gonna make the team. We talk about Avery Williams. Uh, and then the last two guys, of course, two Georgia Bulldogs. They picked up Justin Schaefer and John Fitzpatrick. Um, I think Schaefer is going to be more of um, a break glass in case of emergency type of guard this year coming up. I know we brought him in to compete with Jalen Mayfield, but I don't think he's going to compete that much with him. I think if anything, those other two guys that we got, Gossick, Noozle, um, those guys are probably Elijah Wilkins maybe compete more with Jalen Mayfield and Schaefer, but um, that the big body guy like that definitely could come in. He could shock everybody, come in and move. I think, but he's going to be raw. The only thing different between Justin Schaefer and a Jalen Mayfield, Justin Schaefer actually played left guard in college, so he has that experience. Jalen Mayfield, he was a right tackle in college, coming over learning a whole new position. It was going to be a little bit tougher for him. So, um, that's that's why I think Jalen Mayfield struggled so much. But we got to see there's no excuse. Um, and you're in the NFL, man. You got to pick it up if you can't get it. Um, so I think he needs to have that big jump from year one to year two. And I'm talking about Jalen Mayfield, and then John Fitzpatrick. I think he's going to take that Lee Smith role. I mean, 6'7", tight end. That's what he did in college, right? He didn't get a lot of receptions. He was a blocking tight end. Big body like that, but we can utilize him in the middle of the field with that size. We can utilize him in the red zone. So I think his game can expand a little bit more than it did in college. But he was brought in to be that blocking tight end. Um, so we just have to see what he do. Of course, we brought in Anthony Fersker too. Anthony Fersker's more. Um, he's not really a blocking tight end, but he had a lot of big plays in. Um, on third downs and things like that. You go back and look, he caught a lot of passes. So he's a good possession tight end that we could utilize. So, but I think John Fitzpatrick is going to be that blocking tight end that we need. So, guys, that's the recap, right? That's the recap off season. Of course, we're in OTAs, mini camp, and here we are. We're going to talk about real quick the preview of training camp, right? And the biggest thing that we just need to talk about, all the count battles. Before we get into the count battles, the biggest thing that I want to say about this Atlanta Falcons team. This is a young team, right? This is the new era, right? This is our new era. We don't have Matty Ice no more. Julio's gone. Um, we have our staples. We got Jake Matthews, Grady Jarrett. We got our kicker locked up for 5 years. So these are our cornerstone pieces. But then we got our young guys, right? We got AJ Terrell, Kyle Pitts, right? Drake London. Hopefully he's starting to be one of our guys. Um, Richard Grant. These guys got to start stepping up. Taquan Graham, Okendeji, right? These guys need to take a step from last year and start to be the future of this team. This is a young team, right? So that's one thing we're going into this season. It's a new era. Quarterback's gone. We so just look at it from that perspective. The young team, that may be why everybody's expecting us not to win a lot because we're the young team, but I think coaching matters. I think we got an excellent coaching staff. So even we got a young team, I think our coach is going to get the best out of these guys. But going into training camp, the biggest things I'm looking for is the camp battles, right? We talked about the quarterback battle, even though I really don't think it's a quarterback battle. But I think Desmond Ritter is going to push Marcus Mariota to be even better. And we going into the season, we got to be really careful though, because Marcus Mariota is injury prone a little bit. So Desmond Ritter got to be ready, right? Um, so the quarterbacks battle between those guys is going to be good. The offensive line. Think about offensive line, right? The offensive line is a big thing for us. I mean, we got three positions on the offensive line that's questionable, right? Center, right tackle, left guard. These guys has got to step up. That's why these count battles at those positions going to be huge. I really believe Drew Dalman is going to push Matt Hennessy. Remember, Matt Hennessy was not this regime draft pick. Drew Dalman was, right? And it was reported that in during the offseason programs, Drew Dalman was getting first team snaps. So we're going to see how that pans out. D line. I think the only thing we need to think about D line is the biggest thing is now since Eddie Goldman's retired, who's going to be that D tackle? Is it going to be Vincent Taylor? Is it going to be Anthony Rush? And who's going to start on the other side? Is it going to be Taquan Graham or is it going to be Marlon Davidson? Right? Marlon Davidson got to show us something because he could be on the outside looking in. Real quick, and look at some of you. Yep, Fisker's be number 2. Yeah, I definitely think we're gonna shock some teams. If we can't run the ball, man, I mean that being one dimensional in the NFL is a killer. So we can't run the ball. Everybody know we all we can do is pass. So, but you got to remember this too. Our quarterback is going to help our running game too. So there you go. Wallace said it right there. You're right. Hey, our quarterback is going to help our running game. I really believe that. I think our quarterback definitely is going to help us. So I mean, last year, for what 14 seasons, we knew Matt Ryan wasn't a running quarterback. So that's one thing that they didn't have to scout for. They didn't have to prepare for. Now, um, and man, I'm telling y'all, if you go back and look at Marcus Mariota when he utilized that read pass option in college, man, he was outstanding, man. And if Arthur Smith could bring some of that to his scheme and utilize Marcus Mariota the way he played in Oregon, man, sky's the limit, man. So I mean, just waiting to see. So you say you think Anthony Rush going to be our nose tackle? I can see that. I can see that. I mean, Vincent Taylor, we don't even know if he's. Well, I guess he's not on the PUP list, so I guess he's ready to start camp because the only guy they put on the list was Deion Jones. So I guess Vincent Taylor is going to be ready to go. That means Isaiah Oliver, all those other guys they was mentioned is going to be ready to go as well. That's a good thing. The receiver room. We talk about receivers, right? Who is going to be those six receivers that they're going to keep? I know I can keep. We can talk about three right now. London, Edwards, and Zacchaeus. It's gonna be interesting to see if Frank Darby is going to actually going to make the team, right? And it's really kind of bad for Frank Darby that he don't really have nothing to show from last year that on tape because he never really got in the game. He had one reception, 14 yards, so he's gonna have to show what he can show this year in training camp and in the preseason. That's really is going to get Frank Darby on this team. I think only leg up he got that they drafted him. A lot of teams do not like to just get rid of their draft pick so quick, but it was a 6 round pick, so it's not like us a lot. But I think Frank Darby is somebody that we definitely need to definitely going to be something to use. You said that Tannehill paid big. Yeah, he did. He did. But I think Mariota is way more talented more athletic than Ryan Tannehill is. So, and that's Marcus Mariota bread and butter, man. That's what he did. That's what got him the Heisman Trophy. This guy, he was electric. So, yeah, you right. Smith utilized Tannehill doing it, but that's what Marcus Mariota did. That's what he did. I mean, the key is to hold that ball long as you can in the running back's bread basket, and they don't know if you gave it to him or you snatched it out. So, um, that guy is real good at that. The running back position, we already talked about that. Like I said, I don't really think it's gonna be a count battle. If you go look at the reporter from ESPN, Michael Rockstein, he actually had Damon Williams not making the team, which, in my opinion, I just don't see why that would be the case. A guy that they brought in, and then they decide to actually cut him. Why you even bring him in, sign him to a 1 year deal if you didn't think he could make the team? So I just don't see Damon Williams not being the guy that make it. I'm sorry to say, I think it's going to be Quadri Olison. I mean, and I think he's come back on the practice squad if he don't get picked up by another NFL team. But I just think Quadri Allison is going to be the man out on that. Oh yeah, they're sleeping on Mark Smart. I mean, I forgot what show it was, and they basically didn't even have Marcus Mariota as a top 32 quarterback. Man, it's ridiculous. It's just. I mean, it's the disrespect that people have for the Atlanta Falcons. It's hilarious. And the reason why, because they just don't know the team like we do, right? We fans, we follow this team. We in and out. Um, our division, trust me, the people, the guys that play us in our division know that we're not pushovers, right? We have a chance to win all our division games every year. None of the games when they come play the Falcons be like that's a gimme game in our division. So I just hate the fact that we don't get no respect nationally, but it don't matter. Um, that's what we like, and I hopefully all these guys. I wish I could just ask some of these guys. Um, do they listen to the noise? I know a lot of people say they don't have social media and all that stuff, but it got to just irk your skin that they say that the Atlanta Falcons got the worst roster in the NFL. I mean, they just have to get out of those. I know the coaching staff probably see it, but you can't do nothing but shut them up, right? Got to get out and play and shut them up. Yeah, I agree. Damon Williams going to play role on third down. He's great out the backfield. Um, just go back and look at the Super Bowl game that the Kansas City Chiefs won. Look at Damon Williams and look at the role he had in that Super Bowl. So um, I think he's going to pay a lot of dividends. And then the last thing to talk about, guys, before we get out of here, safety position. I think it's big for our young safeties, Jalen Hawkins and Richard Grant, to actually be able to stand up. I talked about Richard Grant. He's got second round pick. He got to play better. I mean, everybody talked about last year how Dean Pease mentioned that the reason he wasn't getting more playing time because he didn't know the playbook, and that's natural for safety, right? For a rookie coming into the NFL. But he talked about he's locked in. I think he has opportunity. It's going to be up to him because I think he's going to get the opportunity to actually start. He just got to be able to show it that he can stay out there on the field. So that's what it's all about. While he said, I think that the whole team is going to play with a chip. Yeah, me too. I think they're hearing it, man. I think they hear the disrespect being the worst roster in the NFL. I mean, they got us bursting the Texans, Bears, Panthers. Man, come on, man. It's just ridiculous. So I can't wait. I can't wait, man, to see what these guys do. Um, then the last thing we talk about, what I'm excited to see about training camp is the joint practices. The joint practices that we're gonna have, that's gonna be big for this team to get out and hit somebody else before we go into the preseason. And the preseason is probably gonna be the biggest thing. Arch Smith already mentioned he felt like he kind of messed up last year, not having these guys um, in preseason. And you saw how flat we came out against the Eagles. I don't think he's gonna make that mistake again. However, last year I think we had a little bit more veterans this last year. This year we got a lot of young guys, right? So these guys can get out, get fresh. You just don't want to see injuries, right? That's the biggest thing about preseason. You don't want to see a whole lot of injuries. So, but we got to be able to see what these guys are going to be able to do. So that's why I think that he's going to play a lot in preseason. So, so guys, I agree. I agree. I think Hawkins and Grant is definitely going to be our safeties, but um, they got to earn it though. I don't think. I mean, because I think Eric Harris played well last year. Just thought he couldn't catch the darn ball when he had a chance to get turnovers and things like that. Um, I think Dean Marlowe's a good backup, reliable guy that they could utilize. But I think Hawkins and Grant is definitely, I agree 100%. It's definitely going to be our starting safeties, which make our secondary pretty good, right? With Casey Hayward on one side, our pro corner, and then uprising AJ Terrell. Man, AJ Terrell just playing lights out. A lot of people look at interception and things like that. But if the quarterback don't throw to his side of the field, he won't be able to get interceptions. So, um, and they won't throw to his side of the field because they know they ain't gonna complete a pass, right? Let's just be real. That's how it is. I mean, and I'm not comparing him to prime time Dion, but you guys remember the quarterback didn't even look over there. He didn't even look to that side of the field when Dion was up. They just threw the ball to the other side because they knew it wasn't getting completed on that side. That's the kind of respect AJ Terrell's getting, guys. Just think about it. Think about it. He's getting that kind of respect. Um, and I can't wait till he plays Cincinnati and play Chase Young. I can't wait till we play Chase Young, right? Because that's the whole reason why everybody was so upset that the Atlanta Falcons took AJ Terrell at number 15, 3 years ago, because he got burnt in the national championship game against Chase Young. So he get to get some get back. I can't wait to see. Um couple more couple more comments out here, but I think they're not playing starters in the preseason. Yeah, it was a problem. It was bad, man. Especially with new offense scheme, defensive scheme, and then you can see what happened in Philadelphia Eagles. Man, they didn't play well at all against the Eagles, but they came back and played better against the Bucks the next week. One for those tilt passes that we got, I think we could have shot the Bucks in that game because we had the momentum going, and then that botch punt by our punter, man, it was just that game. I go back and look at that game, how the momentum changed so quickly in the Bucks' favor. Yep, I like that Wolf Day. Um, Sports 789 said pass rush. What do you think? We have to. I think our pass rush is gonna be better. Right, that's all I can say because a lot of these guys, Lorenzo Carter ain't never been on the team. He had a good finish to his last season. We got rookie guys out there. Okendeji was looking promising, so we just have to see what we got on pass rush, man. I think they're gonna be a whole lot better than what we got out of Dante Fowler. Just let's just put it that way. I think our pressure package is gonna be good. And one thing that really kind of helps is our slot position, our slot corner position. I think when Isaiah Oliver went out, I think it hurt us in more than from a lot of standpoints of how Dean Pease wanted to actually play um and call games and pressures and things like that. Because remember when Isaiah Oliver went out, we had to actually find some guys to play. They had Richie Grant playing slot, right? They had Avery Williams, they had Darren Hall. We didn't have a guy that's in there. And if you go look at that position, the way Dean Pease utilized it, like he used role and and things like that, he actually used these guys to be actually to add pressure as well, and they could do so much stuff. And Isaiah Oliver is a great tackler, right? He helps in the run game. Um, like I said, he's had the ability to blitz, and he could call more plays. I think that hurt us more than we know. From a standpoint, hopefully we built up that depth, so if somebody go down, we can actually plug somebody in. But I really believe that Isaiah Oliver going down kind of hurt us more than we think. Now, not an excuse for Dante Fowler not getting but like 2 sacks. That's not an excuse. Um, but I think our pass rush is going to be better this year. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know you. Oh, so you changed your name. Okay, okay. I'm glad you told me that because I didn't know. Okay, what's up, Los? What's up, man? Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I really believe Oliver really, really. I think it hurt the team, man. I mean, think of his last play before he got injured, strip sack. I think it hurt because Dean P utilized that slot corner a lot more than we think on his defense. Like I said, that position is key the way he utilized it. Um, and everybody was sleeping on Isaiah Oliver, but when he got moved there, in the last season when Raheem Morris took over as intern, you could see his productivity pick up. Right, that's his position. That's where he needs to play because he's big body. Usually they put a slot guy and the big guys in there. Isaiah Oliver play big receivers, big. I mean, well, and like I said, he can tackle, man. That guy is a got a safety mindset, linebacker mindset when it comes to tackling. So I love it, man. Thanks, my brother. I just can't wait till the season start, man. So we can get started to see what these guys gonna do with more content. So guys, I've been on here about over a little bit over an hour. Do anybody got anything else they wanna talk about before I get out of here? If not, guys, I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try my best to go to some of the open practices that I have. Try to give you guys some videos or something like that. And but see what these guys all about. I can't wait to see that um in person. Like I said, this to me, I'm looking at the new era. I think we just need to go ahead and say the new era Falcons. So you see, we got to give them a nickname. You know, we had the Dirty Birds. Um, we got to get a new nickname for these guys. But Matty Ice gone, new regime. We're gonna see what these guys gonna do. And last thing I gotta say, if you go back and look at what Dean Pease mentioned about, when he played with the Baltimore Ravens and the New England Patriots, and he mentioned about when you went into that facilities, those guys was expected to win. They was expected. That's the kind of how they carry themselves, right? That's what we need to develop with these Falcons. We need to be able to expect that we're not going to go out and we're not going to lose, right? When you with a franchise, and he mentioned this, you're the franchise and you always losing and things like that. Well, that's what everybody think. Well, we just the Falcons, right? But if we could build different mindset um, with this regime, with this coaching staff, that we don't expect to lose games. When you come play the Falcons, that's why when I think about it, man, I hope he can bring that Baltimore type defense to the Atlanta Falcons. I hope he can bring that New England Patriots mindsets to the Falcons, guys. That's what I want to see. So if he can do that, that'd be awesome. And 50 years of coaching experience, man, never been fired, always been in top 12 for the most part, and defenses rankings. This guy's going to get us right. I really believe he's going to get us right. We just got to be patient. I think we got some of the right pieces here to actually to do this thing. And I think this year, that from a defensive standpoint and an offensive standpoint, we're gonna put out some good stuff. So guys, that's all I got. Thank you guys for coming and talk to me today. I can't wait to training camp start. We made it. We made it. We made it. It's been a long off season. And this is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video.